Here, read this.
Woof.
Good morning, it's the 12th of November 2025 and here is your poem for the day. As usual, I'll read through the poem in one and then stop to talk a little bit about it at the end. Today's poem is by Iris Murdoch and it's called To Be Who Brought Me 2 Candles as a Present. I found this poem in this newly released collection, Poems from an Attic, which has just come out. I'll tell you a little bit more about it at the end. Here is the poem, To Be Who Brought Me 2 Candles as a Present. You brought to me twin lights to symbolise what? In the complication of your heart, you have me bound with the turning of your eyes, but to undo me with perpetual art. How patiently the candle flames endure, that by your bed unvacillating gleam, through all our talk of sickness and of cure, steadily bright till quenched in their own stream. What you require of me no science gives, to make these fires constant but not consumed. What blazes every moment when it lives, has eaten its own substance as it bloomed. Yet though they burn not all the evening through, while they are burning, each to each is true. So the B of that poem is Bridget Brophy, who had a close emotional relationship with Murdoch. If you want to hear a little bit more about the nature of their relationship, it's come up on my interviews with Miles Leeson, who's one of the editors of this collection. We've spoken about it in our interviews together, and I've also spoken about it on our podcast about Bridget Brophy. It's a podcast on the Snowball, but then a follow-up interview with Kate Levy, Brophy's daughter. So this collection, Poems from an Attic, which was edited by Miles Leeson, along with Rachel Herschler, Frances White, and Anne Rowe, is made up of poems, as the title implies, found in the attic of Murdoch's Oxford home, and they were discovered in 2016. Quite a few of these poems have dedicatees, and the editors say in their notes that they are usually just initialed, so they have provided in this collection an explanation for us of who each of these initials are, including Bridget Brophy. It's not the only poem dedicated to Brophy in the collection, but this was my favourite. I love the note of bafflement that Murdoch has, not only in this poem, but in the following poem as well, where she writes to Brophy, "How cleverly you write, it's quite confusing." And there's a similar note here in her line, "But you have me bound with the turning of your eyes, but to undo me with perpetual art," sounding at the same time a note of romance, but also of forbidding creative powers of the dedicatee. It's a very Shakespearean sounding sonnet. I think that comes from the sense of a deep passion that has been precisely ciphered into an innocent image, resulting in a combination of deeply felt emotion and careful playfulness. Lines that could be about life, love, and everything, or simply about candles. What you require of me no science gives, to make these fires constant but not consumed. What blazes every moment when it lives, has eaten its own substance as it bloomed. Something else it shares with Shakespeare's sonnets are epigrammatic lines that borrow force from rhyme. Yet though they burn not all the evening through, while they are burning, each to each is true. Somehow that doesn't feel constructed or invented. That seems like a key turning in a lock, like a self-evident truth that was there all along, that Murdoch has simply, polished and held up into the light. I'd like to picture Murdoch starting this poem, writing to be, and thinking, a sonnet it is. So there you go, there's your poem of the day, To Be Who Brought Me 2 Candles as a Present by Iris Murdoch. And once again, if you want to read more of Murdoch's poems in the collection that's just come out, it's called Poems from an Attic. I'll try not to cover up the title. Poems from an Attic.